Hey, welcome to Two Cents, episode 55. This is the weekly live undoctored news post show we do here at Dollar Reviews. Like the title says, this is our 2 cents on anything that's happened in the past week. We're talking about, obviously, movie news, but TV, tech, VR, video games, really anything that I saw on the interwebs and I felt like giving a shout about. I'm Brian Gillis. You can follow me on Twitter at Brian Gillis. It's hard to spell. I can spell it out for you. It's Bryongillis. And I'm here with Stephen Momanex.
Yes, a name that's even harder to spell. You know how to spell Steven, but it's Montmaneix.
But yeah, we put out content all the time. This show is weekly. We've been doing over a year now. We also do Dollar Reviews and Jet to Cinema. I can tell you about our shows that we've done there recently. Dollar Reviews, we put out an episode on Ghostbusters. You can listen to it right now, anywhere on the web. And there's also a fun conversation about documentary filmmaking and the ethics behind it that happened in the very end of the episode. We also did one for Swiss Army Man and Finding Dory, not too recently. In terms of Jet to Cinema, we have an episode for This Film Is Not Yet Rated coming out next week. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan is available this week. And then we have stuff like Heaven's Gate, The Thin Man, what else? Freddy Got Fingered, High Noon, so much stuff.
High Noon was almost a year ago, yeah.
I
We
think it was
had
about a year
The Long
ago.
Goodbye, did one for Bound.
Lots of stuff. You can find it on the
Singles,
website.
which I loved and you hated.
I didn't hate it, but if you just Google Jet to Cinema, that's probably the easiest way to find it. But we're available on a whole bunch of platforms: Facebook, Twitter, WordPress, Tumblr. Basically, if you just search for Dollar Views on any of those, it's going to pop up. In terms of where you can listen to our content, I don't know how you're listening now. You could give us a comment and let us know. But it's on Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Podcat. It's a fun little website.
Pocket Cast? Or wait, no, it's Podcat.
No. Podcat, like podcast, but it's a cat.
Just
it's
without
cool,
the S?
Yeah, it's a cool website. So all over the place. We're also on Patreon, kinda. I still haven't launched that site. So give us a shout, like I said. Give us a review, thumbs up, whatever you want to do. We encourage conversation. Send us an email, brian@dollarviews.net. Or go to dollarviews.net. That's our actual website. I should have probably said that. We start off the show by talking about what's important. That makes sense. These are kind of the headlines, even though everything is really a headline. And so the first of which is something that we've been chronicling for, I don't know, I want to say 4 months, so maybe a little bit longer than that. But it's AMC trying to take over the world and becoming the number one film exhibition company. And currently, they're looking to take advantage of the Brexit and acquire the UK's Odeon and UCI chains. And if this goes through, it's going to make them the largest cinema company in all of Europe, especially the United Kingdom. The weirdest thing about this isn't how strange that is, or the fact that, AMC is owned by China's Wanda Corp, but rather that this news broke just a couple of days before Carmike Cinemas was going to have their shareholder vote to decide if they're going to be bought out by AMC. They've since pushed back that vote for a second time. It's now happening on the 25th of this month. But if both of these mergers go through, Wanda could potentially, become the main theater chain in 3 of the world's main cinema markets.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of fear there just because, I don't know, it seems like China just taking over the world. That's... it's kind of something that we joke about. That just sounds scary. I don't want to sound xenophobic when I say any of it.
Some Blade Runner shit.
Seriously, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, just the influence of Asian culture in our world. I mean, we're in America. There's just diversity everywhere, but I don't know. Dominance, anyone that's at the top of the hierarchy, there's reason to fear that they might have too much control, and I guess that's what this is.
Especially when Wanda actually makes movies, and they own AMC, so if they own... the majority of the theaters in 3 parts of the world, then they could put potentially only their movies in those theaters.
And it's just the biggest fear is censorship there and having control, because we do know that not every movie makes it to China, that some get censored, and it's just how far is that reach going to go out? That's really my big concern.
I'm not sure that's going to happen for any time. I think,
it's the fact that they have the control of, if they have the theaters and they own them, then they could say, hey, we don't want that playing here.
Sort of, but it's
as exhibitors, then they have that power.
It's not direct ownership. Like Wanda, purchased AMC, but they don't run them
No,
in the
but
same
still,
way
they
that
own them. They can say that.
Yeah, but it's kind of like in the same way that
It might
Facebook
be
owns
like
Oculus, except they don't control their
it might
day-to-day
not be
business.
official, but there could be like conversations behind closed doors. I mean, it's a
There's gonna
cynical
be
way of
a
saying it, but
huge
come on.
scandal in a couple of years. Oh, it happened. This is why they only show
I'm just saying,
Chinese-friendly
hey,
movies
that's
in AMC
these
theaters.
things happen in business and in government. Like we know
Yeah.
this. Going back to Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. That's where you first learn about it.
It's kind of scary though. The fact, I kind of assumed that Carmike was going to agree to the terms. The reason that they haven't is because they want a better deal, which is ridiculous. Who the fuck even knows what Carmike Cinemas is without this story? I think they're only like in the Midwest and the Bible Belt.
Hmm.
They're in a small fraction of the country, but in where they are, it's kind of like U.S. Cellular. Okay, it's like if you don't live where they have service, you don't know that they even exist. And this is the same story here. And I wouldn't be surprised if this purchase of the Odeon theaters happens before Carmike gets purchased, and then AMC goes, "Fuck you guys, we're not interested anymore." Because they're kind of looking to get a better deal than they're. I think they're getting something like $43 a share or something, plus other stuff. So it seemed like a good deal when it was reported. You can read all about this. It's basically everywhere. THR Variety, Deadline Hollywood, and I don't know why they haven't done it. You would think that someone would want money when it's given to them, but they want a better deal. I
I don't.
Wanda Group has enough money that it makes sense, but
Yeah, like that's probably wise that if they see that there could be the chance to get more there. But yeah, right after this, because this just got announced that they're trying to get Odeon.
mhm,
So I
just a
mean,
couple
yeah,
days ago.
now that they know that that's happening, they're probably rethinking their strategy.
Maybe. What's real cool about if they do acquire Odeon, Odeon runs not just one of the nicest IMAX theaters in the world, but the most profitable one at that
You talking
also.
about the BFI?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
it's a nice
I
theater.
I would like to go there. It sounds
Oh
like
yeah, no,
magnificent.
it's really cool where it is because it's like right where there's jeez, I'm probably
It's like
saying it wrong.
everything
It's
is
like
right
a
there.
roundabout. Like yeah, it's
Yeah.
literally like a circle in this area in London, and it's really cool though where it is.
Yeah, it's
And
the equivalent of the TCL Chinese Theater for the UK.
I think it's better.
It's like where they do, well, it's newer, but it's where
Yeah.
they do all of the major
Well,
events
no.
for any
Like that
big
was
movies.
the TCL is newer. Like that was converted to
Well,
IMAX. Or
yeah, but
you
I'm
mean
saying
yeah, newer
the
theater.
building. Yeah, yeah,
Duh. Yeah.
yeah.
We had
So
conversations of how like the TCL is kind of not really IMAX, but
it is.
it's still
just,
a nice. Or I mean, I don't know if it was you or Blake that just
It's probably
mainly-
Blake. It's a
I mean,
cool blending
it's not
of the
Spectrum,
past and the
though.
present.
It's not the Spectrum or the
No,
Public Museum.
no,
I
but
mean,
then again, look at what's surrounding it with the chandeliers and artistry,
Oh, yeah,
Art
like-
Deco ceilings, and the fact that there's the handprints outside the theater and the street performers
yeah,
and all
like,
of that. Like
is,
it is a
it's
interesting
palace,
atmosphere.
It's one of the
Mhm.
most beautiful theaters like that I've ever been in ever. It's like in California, it's up there with the Avalon Casino.
I really like.
Like, have you been there in Catalina?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
the tour. It's a cool tour.
Oh, you never
If
saw a movie in there though?
No. But if you go to Catalina and you do the tour and you buy the ticket, apparently is what they told me when I did mine. If you keep that ticket and you go back anytime, you get the tour for free again. It's a like lifetime ticket or something like that. It's kind of cool.
I don't know. They might have changed that now. Who knows? 'Cause
Perhaps. I mean, it's so much money to go there.
they're like
It's-
printed on receipts now. I think.
Yeah.
Too, so
I mean, it's $100 to go. So it seems
just to take
like
the tour.
no, I mean to go to Catalina is like $50 there, $50 back, and
Yeah.
that rate increases. When I was younger, I think it was 50 round trip, and back then there was like two boats. You could take the slow boat, the fast boat, and then they have a like a seaplane and a
There's
helicopter.
the
I think
Catalina Express at
Yeah.
the Port of Long Beach. They can take that.
yeah, now they just have the one boat.
I think I took. I think it's $20. It was for me at least, like a couple of years ago. So
No, it is not that cheap anymore.
it was for
You-
me.
You must have got some kind of special deal.
I don't know
with
if
a
it was
girl
that
was
or the
flirting
flyer.
with you.
I can't remember what it was.
Something. It was something.
It was a student discount.
But talking about Wanda, they're not strictly just buying theaters. They're also trying to buy a studio. So we talked a while ago about Paramount and now Viacom's putting up a minority stake in the studio. Wanda's come out as the front runner for this, and if they go through, they would own 49% of the studio. And this would give them, they obviously have something to prove, and this could really help their film productions. If they have a hand in a major American film production studio, even if it's not the biggest one right now, it would still bring them some kind of prestige to their name. Like if you saw, oh, it's a Wanda picture. Oh, they know what they're doing. They're helping Paramount. They made the good Terminator movie in 2017 or whatever. Anything's possible, but I think this is going to happen.
Paramount's also like a couple of their movies. Like I can't remember what the name of the studio is, but it does say like a Chinese film company below it on the logo. The last Ninja Turtles movie had that.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles, the most recent Transformers, Terminator Genesis did.
No, I don't know what company it was with Transformers, but that only had the Paramount logo on there. This one full on like had a Chinese film company logo on there.
It might have been Wanda Group.
What else? Yeah, God, I saw this twice this summer and I can't remember, but yeah, it's becoming more and more prevalent for sure.
But if this happens, because Viacom wants some help. Terminator didn't work for them. Ninja Turtles didn't really.
Anyway.
Well, we have to see on Star Trek in a week from now. But they don't have many surefire hits. They haven't been successful for a good number of years here. The Viacom brand isn't as strong as it used to be. I mean, like MTV's doing well, but it's not like they're making MTV movies anymore. There's no Varsity Blues or anything like that. And
not that was ever big to begin with.
It was big for me, okay?
No. But I'm saying on a commercial perspective,
you don't know that
as well as financial. How much money did that movie make anyway?
I don't know.
I'm sure it's fine for what it is.
I'm guessing it probably made like 30. Which isn't bad for an R-rated teen football movie set in Texas in the late 90s. I don't know. Yeah, I know I've yet to meet someone that doesn't enjoy it.
Well, they're not that bad, but I'm sure Paramount's not really counting on their money for Everybody Wants Some or fucking 10 Cloverfield Lane or 13 Hours. I don't know what else they put out this year, but it's not.
They didn't put out Everybody Wants Some, did they?
Yeah,
I'm pretty
they
sure
did.
that was
that was Annapurna and Paramount.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say because I'm pretty sure it's the Annapurna picture, so it is distributed.
But Paramount distributed it.
Yeah. Well, that they don't care about
and
distribution rights.
They
care.
Make that much
yeah, they. I'm pretty sure they care about the homegrown movies that they can go. Oh yeah, we made that, by the way. And it looks like China might be half of everything they make if this happens. Like so much happens in business that next week it could go through. I'm not sure how regulations work in China. The FCC they're kind of lax on those things now because it's like, oh, it makes us look better. Paramount, like I said, they're not important. The big player that still is, even though this year isn't nearly as hot as last year, is Universal. And here's a new little tidbit that I'm very excited about. I'm super excited about their shared monster universe that's coming as soon as next summer, actually. That's when The Mummy's going to be touching down. But Javier Bardem is circling the Frankenstein's monster role currently. This is like, I don't know how this is happening, but every time they announce a new name, I just get more and more excited and looking more forward to this franchise.
Like the best you can say about it now, just every time there's a casting news on it, I'm just not surprised anymore. It's like, okay, great, it's another name. Please make the damn movie so that I can see it and see that it's good and see that this is going to work. Like, it's been, 2 years since we got that fucking mediocre-ass Dracula movie?
Yeah.
That promise that, it was going to go somewhere. God damn it, like...
We don't know for
sure
if that's something. Still... That came out before Kurtzman was involved.
But that was still meant to set that up.
It was, but I don't... I'm just, no one knows.
I'm waiting impatiently now just to see something.
If you look at the...
No surprise that...
Well, if you look at the names, if we got Javier Bardem as Frankenstein, Tom Cruise,
yeah.
Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man, Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Charles Dance, perhaps, as the guy who brings them together... But then when you look at those names, it's like, well, I'm not sure the current Dracula fits in with that. You have these powerful, huge Oscar contender actors, and then what the fuck's the guy's name?
Luke Evans.
Yeah, Luke Evans. It's like
but he's still good.
No, he wasn't bad, but it's like he can't compete with them. They would need to recast him just for audience's sake.
I don't know. I don't think that way, but yeah, if they do that, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, at this point, if they're being consistent,
and then also,
but that would be a bummer. Really,
they've yet to cast the Wolfman and Gillman and whoever else they put in. Maybe they do Phantom of the Opera. I don't know, but those are the two major ones that are left. It'd be really funny if they
Gilman's a
got.
guy in a suit, though, so
It's still gonna be important who's in there, maybe, or at least
maybe
the
it really
actress
hasn't been in the
who's
past. So
whoever the actress is that's leading the production. Because Tom Cruise isn't the Mummy; it's the Brendan Fraser role. But the Wolfman, like, imagine if they got Benicio del Toro again,
oh yeah,
because I could see that. Like, it's
you
a
know what?
possibility.
As long as he's not mumbling the whole time.
That movie was so bad. I saw that in theaters.
I did too. I didn't think it was that bad.
It was really bad.
I really would have rather seen the Mark Romanek version, though.
That killed Joe Johnson's career when we were talking about Odd
No.
Thomas.
He did Captain America the year after that. Like,
Did he?
Yeah.
But Captain America
like,
had to be in production.
I mean,
Oh,
Wolfman,
wait.
he was brought in at the last minute. You know about the production for that, right?
Yeah, it was like a shit show, and it was like
gonna
sitting on the
be-
shelf for years.
It was going to be Mark Romanek's movie, and they were building sets. They did pre-production on everything, and then Joe Johnston came in, and he was basically a director for hire. He made the movie with the sets that they already had. I guess worked with the script as best they could. Got into arguments with Rick Baker, who wanted to do transformations practically, and he did the makeup, but all the transformations are CGI.
I remember
it's really
that
a mess of a history of a production, but then a year later, Captain America: The First Avenger came out,
which
and
people forget about for some
yeah,
reason.
but that's still a fun movie. Like,
No, it's totally fun. But I'm
I
saying
saw
like,
that recently too. I really love that movie still.
people totally forget. I think it's like besides the Incredible Hulk for obvious reasons. Like that's the Marvel movie that people just totally don't remember for some reason.
No, but Captain America, like, it's a really good movie still, and
It's
it
a
really
fun
shows.
movie.
It's insane how far the character has gone, but yeah, it's a great.
I
origin
remember
story.
that montage in the middle is probably my favorite thing about it when he's doing like the GI shows for
Yeah.
the USO and he's like on the posters and it's like and then you see Marvel comic books make a Captain America comic book and you're like, oh, that's so cool the way they got away with that.
Yeah, but no, his career's not dead.
It's kind of dead.
I mean, that was his last movie, honestly, and it did well. I mean, he was the
Odd
perfect
Thomas.
guy for that movie. No. Okay, we're talking about Wolfman. That's Joe Johnston, not Stephen Summers.
Oh, I'm confused. Yeah,
that's
I'm
why I'm
thinking
bringing
I
up
got
Captain America.
was Captain America's last movie
Yeah,
for Joe Johnston?
at least the last one I'm aware of, but it's been 5 years now, so there could have
long
been
time.
something else.
Well, Stephen Summers, his career's over too. But moving
Yeah,
on.
G.I. Joe was before Odd Thomas.
This I didn't want to include this on the show because it's fucking stupid. This is more like me doing backlash. But you called it, Steve. Last week before the show, you were talking about that Netflix thing and how it's illegal
Yeah, I
to
told
share
you you should have
passwords.
reported it. It was news then at that
It's
point.
not. It's still. Everyone that reported it didn't report it correctly. I actually did the research. This is what it. This is the whatchamacallit, the clickbait article. A Ninth Circuit court ruled that password sharing is technically a federal crime, and that's what people ran with. Most notably, like The Verge and Slash Film. This is what it really is. So the news is running with that you can't share HBO, Netflix, and the like, but what it truly is, what the opinion here in the courtroom was that it's a crime to use someone's Facebook or Amazon account without them knowing. So if you're gifted a password, like say you gave me your Ultraviolet account, and you share it with me, that's fine. The crime is if I took that password and account information and gave it to someone else without letting you know. That's breaking the law.
I mean,
This
yeah,
is
'cause if they don't know, I mean, that's basically identity theft. If you're going into someone's bank statements,
exactly.
yeah,
Especially with Facebook in particular, Amazon. Like if you were making purchases or making status updates. So that's what it really is. And I said this last week, and the reason why I said, no, that's stupid, I'm not going to talk about it, because Netflix practically encourages multiple users on a single account. They have the profile feature that allows multiple users on there at once. I think it maxes out at like 6. And it's called like household mode or whatever. They've had this for like 2 years, and Reed Hastings is like, yeah, I got no concern about that because like 90% of people that use that feature go on and get their own account in the future anyway. And then on top of that, Google is currently doing like a family plan where a single user's account, which is able to be shared with up to 6 people, that includes all movies and music bought, any app purchases, your like Google Play or YouTube Red accounts, all of that is able to be shared with your family. And so if Netflix and YouTube are allowing that, then I didn't understand, and I still don't, why people were really like making articles about this, because it's not going to change anything.
I mean, my understanding was that the federal ruling was, the court ruling, one or the other. Either way, yeah, the court ruling was that, yeah, you literally could not do that, and that was the way that the judge explained it But I mean, the fact that yeah, it's okay if as long as you do it with consent, then
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, which I did have a long discussion of like, yeah, that should be the way it is. If you need to go to someone's house and pick up an envelope and they give you the keys, it's not like that should be illegal. If someone steals your keys and breaks into your apartment, that's fucking illegal. You didn't
Yeah.
give them permission to do that. That's the way I explained it. I mean, yeah, and so on. No one really is complaining, at least none of these providers. HBO a little bit, yeah, because
Not
they
really.
don't really. Well, they said that it's not hurting their revenue, but they would rather not have it happen. And
Well, because
I
more
mean,
money
yeah,
is better than less money.
I mean, a long discussion I had on this though is like back when there was the assumption that this was illegal, is that yeah, this
Mhm.
could be hurting the providers because it does cost them a lot of money to keep servers going, and there's all sorts of upgrades and stuff, and in the long run, it could hurt them.
Well, I
But
mean, Netflix has this feature in play if you're on
yeah,
like,
like for that, it makes sense if you have limitations
well,
on there.
exactly. Like, you can only do 2 streams at a time with a singular
Yeah.
Netflix account if
With
you're
the way
not
that they
on
do,
the
it's
most
not like
expensive model.
yeah, it's not like password sharing is hurting them because they already have limitations in place on what the plan is with that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Because it's really a problem for Amazon. Like, if you gave me your Amazon account
do they
and
not
I
have
shared it,
limitations?
I don't know if they do, but what I'm getting at is if I shared that with someone and you have one click enabled, and like, okay, sure, they're watching Amazon Instant Video, but then they buy something.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what the fuck? Where did this $20 charge come from? Who's watching Transformers 10 right now?
There's
I already
an
own that on
option-
Blu-ray.
There's an option on Amazon that you can have a 5-digit code on there, and it applies
Oh, yeah,
to
the
all
PIN.
devices, and that's
Yeah.
what I have, so that no one can buy something without my consent. I wish Vudu had that on all devices, but you got to do it separately depending on what the device is.
So
Which that's a pain in the ass, but
I
yeah,
just-
for Amazon, there's a safety feature there.
this is a talking point because it was reported incorrectly, but I don't think it changes anything. Just the fact that, because it's not the Supreme Court, it's the Circuit Court, and I don't even know what state it's in. So this could be a thing in New York, and it has no jurisdiction here. In the same way that, like, when they outlawed FanDuel and
No,
all
this
those,
was the it was U.S. court.
but it's a it's not the top
Yeah.
level. Like, things that, like, it's in the same way, like, if you try to get a restraining order and the judge said no, and then you go a level behind that court and they said yes, then they have to abide by it. But this isn't a federal crime. Like, it is, but they're not changing anything here. It's not like a digital rights buyer constitution. Well, there should be, though. Like, instead of having to say yes to all of the end user license agreements, there should just be a unified one where it's like you actually have to read it. It's like the Bill of Rights, it's like the Bill of Digital Rights, where you know where you stand as a consumer in terms of digital marketplaces. Because I still don't get it, especially when it comes to.
That's what the terms and agreement are.
But
on,
no
isn't
one
it?
reads those. Is what I'm
Exactly.
saying. Like, you have to, like, maybe
But
in the
it's there
future.
for you. I mean, you can't
in the
say
same
that you didn't have it.
Yeah, but in the same way that you have to study the U.S. Constitution in school, I'm sure in the not too distant future you're gonna have to study a similar thing for like DCIM or not DCIM, that's camera technology, for whatchamacallit.
I got you. The internet's still very shaky, and that
Yeah.
has to apply to worldwide use too, because it's not just in the U.S. I mean, these are digital devices connected on a global scale. So what the rules are with that, it's. I'm glad I'm not the one that's making them up, but I really hope that it doesn't affect me in a bad way.
It's gonna be cleared up eventually because this makes sense, like, companies need to make money. You can't endlessly share a singular account with everyone to override a system, because
I
I
mean,
think
having a limitation like that in place with Netflix makes
Well, yeah,
sense
with
because you're
Netflix, but-
basically paying for the privilege of having it being accessible with this many devices, and it is detailed on what you're getting and what you're able to do with it. Like,
if you pay the higher fee, if you buy the unlimited plan, the one that comes with the 4K content, they don't limit how many devices can stream at once. So they just put it behind a paywall because it could
that'll
be said.
change though when bandwidth goes up and the prices of the internet goes down.
No, the internet.
plans
I have a
and-
feeling like internet's going to start costing more. I know
Well,
you're in the
it should-
marketplace currently, but it's ridiculous when people talk about price points for, like, oh, look how much it costs to have cable versus how much it costs to
Just
have
saying,
Netflix.
the needs for something like 4K, like if that's just as readily accessible as 1080p is now to a lot of people, then yeah, that could go down, and that could be at a point where
I
it's
think that's going to
affordable.
be more so so that bandwidth is just it has a higher
It just
standard.
reaches a point where it's expected to
Yeah,
at
exactly.
least have a certain standard for just the average consumer. Then it'll balance out that way, I'm sure.
Because
And then like 11K will be the one that has
Yeah.
unlimited devices at that point.
5G wireless technology is going to be fast enough for you to stream 4K on a mobile device. I'm sure of it. Because 4G, if it's actually at the specifications that I can't remember the party that decides these things, but if it's at the actual specifications, you're supposed to get 100 megabits per second when you're stationary and something like 50 when you're moving. And it's not even close to that. Like on 4G LTE through T-Mobile, when I'm moving and when I'm stationary, it doesn't matter. I get about like 15 megabits per second, which is a fraction of what it is. So 4G is going to last for like another like 4 years or something like that probably until they can actually get up to snuff. But going back to what I was saying about price points, Netflix has never been cheaper than it is to have cable when you think about it, because you have to pay a monthly fee for your internet, which most people, it varies from like $20 to $60 depending on what you have. For me, it's $60. So 60 plus the 10 for Netflix is $70 for one streaming service. I throw on HBO Now, that's another 15. I'm looking at, $75. Amazon,
Okay.
I pay $100 a year.
But
versus,
your internet has functions for more than one thing.
This is
For
true.
one, you're paying for Skype. Like, you pay a cable bill, that is solely for entertainment. Internet is something that you have practically as a necessity just to carry on doing some work, depending on what your work is.
I'm just saying the entry
There's
point,
a lot
though,
of variables involved in there.
the entry point for the entertainment is about the same. Like, I think people have to change that argument, because if you don't have cable or you don't have internet, if you want either, it's going to be about the same price point. But yeah, it's a necessity more so with internet, and that's why AT&T is almost a monopoly. So you can get their phone plan, their cable plan, and their internet plan, and it costs cheaper when you do that. Oh, did I say cable? I meant DirecTV, because they own that too. Moving on to the next story here, Warner Bros. They're under hot water right now. Oh, you like that instead of saying Brothers?
Have you
The
done that
WB?
before? It's been done like
When I type
you're
it
not
out,
the first person to
no.
make that joke, but
It's
every
not
time
a-
I hear it, it's like, it's actually kind of chuckle worthy.
I didn't mean it as a joke. That's what I actually typed out. It's Warner
Well,
Bros.
that is how it's written.
It's
when
how
you
it's
see the
written.
things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the WB, they're under hot water right now for paying YouTube personalities, including PewDiePie, to positively cover their Middle-earth set Shadow Mordor game last year without properly disclaiming that it was payola. So the FTC got involved recently. They fined Warner Brothers Games and has since barred them from doing similar advertising ploys without clearly making their hand shown. The crazy thing here is that it required these influencers to not say anything negative, show glitches or bugs, and on top of that, they had to point viewers towards the game's official site at least once during the video. This is coming right after last week when we were talking about how the gambling ring on YouTube and how the Syndicate and T. Martin didn't disclose to their viewers that they were also running the site or own the site that they were pointing their subscribers to.
Yeah.
This is very similar territory. Like, YouTube's kind
This
of
is
the Wild
worse
West.
than that. Like,
That's slightly. I mean, this is something that's always happened. Like, think about when you're watching TV and you see some actress advertising like Maybelline or Garnier Fructis, and they're like, "Oh, it makes my hair so amazing." Do you think they actually use that product?
no, of course not. Well, maybe.
Exactly.
I don't
Maybe
know, but
they could.
I mean, they definitely got a ton of free products just by doing
Yeah.
that commercial. So
and
maybe
a
they
ton of
just do
money,
that, yeah.
and they got time the spotlight, and they got a free advertisement that it's like, oh wait, I'm gonna get on TV, and you're gonna pay me to do it. Why not? It's pretty similar. Like, it's not an unknown thing. When you go on Amazon and you see those reviews that say, full disclosure, I got this at a discounted rate, or I got this for free for my unbiased opinion, it's that Warner Brothers didn't make them say this. And going forward, they have to. So, they were in the wrong. Now it's fine. I mean, from all accounts, this game is supposed to be really great anyway. I've had multiple people tell me how good it is. It's basically like playing a Batman Arkham game, but set in the Lord of the Rings universe. So it's supposed to be good. It's just, this is pretty shady. That
As far as, like, I have not seen how this content's been reviewed, but, the difference between, like, a commercial is scripted when they do that. So, I mean...
This is kind of scripted, too, when you think about it. The fact that
It's just, I think, if you're paying someone, like, that already talks about their opinions, even though I don't know at all what they do, but let's I mean, if this is the way that I'm understanding, right, if they already have an established format that they
Yeah.
use to communicate
And a fan base.
their opinions to their fan base, and then Warner Brothers is paying them to tweak with that, then that's fucked up. That's not like getting someone to come in and do a spot.
That's not
that's someone messing with
it's more
just
so
the way that something works.
do what you do, except you can't badmouth our product because we're paying you to cover it and you got the product for free. That's
Like,
more
and
what
if
it
your
is.
opinion, yeah, but I mean that's
It's
I don't
kind
know,
of like
that's like having someone come in to do like a press tour for a movie, which neither of us have experience in, and giving critics like just the top, like no expense spared, like giving them everything, buttering them up so that they can get a positive review. This is worse than that, though. Like, I mean, it's
about
not
on
like
par.
they tell critics specifically like, hey, if you write a positive review, we'll give you a paycheck for that, which I guess there's stories about that, but no one knows the actual people that have done that.
Max Landis got in trouble for trying to say that he has friends that have got paid for reviews. And, like, every single critic on Twitter when this happened months ago were like, motherfucker, you're crazy. It's never happened to me.
Well, it's true. Like, everybody knows somebody that, like, they say they know that somebody's gotten it, but they don't know.
Yeah.
They never say who that somebody is.
I'm sure it's possible because when you see...
I don't deny that it's happened.
When you see those headline or like those quick quotes for movies that are shit and it's like amazing, fantastic, and you're going, what was the real quote? This is a fantastic piece of shit or what? Because there's no way it's a fantastic movie. And yeah, you could assume that one of those people, probably someone on Rotten Tomatoes, is getting paid. But I don't think that this is the same as that, or like getting like buttering up a critic, because all of these people, it's not just PewDiePie. I don't know how many YouTubers it was, but they agreed to it. They signed a contract. They signed a non-disclosure agreement, I'm sure. Like, they sat down at a meeting or had a conference call. They probably got their agent or their lawyer involved, and they said, so you're okay with not bad-mouthing the game to get the free copy, and they're going to pay you? Like, yeah, of course. Why not?
Okay, well, is PewDiePie at all related to games? Because I know you straight up said yesterday you hate PewDiePie, and
yeah, no,
the show
his
yesterday
shtick,
just sounded
This is what he does. So. He plays a game. He records himself while he's playing it and his reactions, and then he cuts it together to be funny. He's part of the Let's Play community. It's the opposite of live streaming. Live streaming is like going to a concert and experiencing an artist right then in the moment. You see them, but then you experience what they're doing. It's the same thing with live streaming. It's like you see them, but you also see the game they're playing.
So you get all the more boring, mundane stuff.
The regular stuff, the everyday stuff. A Let's Play person, they cut together and montage things to make it seem real fun and real funny, and like they're constantly doing something hilarious. It's a show, exactly.
Yeah.
They're a product, and it's real different. It's like, it's having the auto-tune final version of a song on the record on the radio versus the live performance acoustic, really. That's the difference. So he's the most famous Let's Player. He's the most famous YouTuber of all time. He has millions upon millions of subscribers and millions upon millions of dollars. He is crazy rich. He's been on South Park. He has his own YouTube. I think he has 2 YouTube shows. He has Scare PewDiePie. I think he has something else coming out. I'm sure he has a podcast, or he's at least been on them. Tons of stuff. He has a book. I'm sure he's going to have a biopic in the near future. He is a brand. He has clothing. He has crazy sponsorships. He's insane. So, that's why his name was brought up in relation to this, because Warner Brothers purposefully tapped into that market. He was called a quote-unquote influencer, and the fact that they didn't disclose that this was, a paid, basically, advertisement is why not necessarily the internet was mad, but why the Federal Trade Commission was. That's not transparency.
I mean, still, if this is not clear that it's promotion, that it looks like it's more of an actual review of it, then
exactly,
that's not criticism. That is the death of criticism if that happens more and more often, that people are being bought to say halfway decent things. I mean,
I'm saying it happens already.
It does, but when we see it happening, of course we're going to get pissed off about it.
That's why I brought up.
I don't think that's right. It's not like
no, it's definitely not right. But
I didn't give a halfway decent review to Ghostbusters because I didn't want to get. I said some things that I had problems with, for sure on that.
But if Sony paid me to review it,
Is
it
that
would have
it?
been
They
a lot.
paid you to praise the 3D.
They
and
could.
all that? Yeah.
No, that 3D was really good. I mean, I own enough products from Sony that as a fanboy, if I tell you that I
I
don't
see.
like the fucking
Okay.
thing,
I see
then
where this is going.
you can understand that I was honest about
It
it.
all makes sense now. Absolutely. That's why you
Yeah.
like the movie. Yeah.
That's why I liked it. Yeah. Yeah, you guys can listen to that review. It's not up as we're recording.
It'll be up by the time this is up.
Exactly. But this is literally the exact same scenario. Actually, this isn't nearly as bad as last week's topic when we were talking about the Counter-Strike Go gambling scandal, which Valve has since then started shutting down those sites, or at least distancing themselves from it, so it can't remain a thing. Because those guys literally own the product that they were advertising and pretending like they didn't. They were getting 100% of the money. At least in this case, Warner Brothers, they didn't own these personalities. Like, imagine if PewDiePie made a game, he promoted it and gave a review for it and said it's like the best thing ever, and then you found out a week later that he made the game.
Well, no, but I mean, this is bad. Like, just because you have PewDiePie doing what he normally does, and that what he normally does is supposed to be like, it's supposed to appear as criticism, right?
No, not really.
But
It's entertainment with the video game
it's
going
supposed to appear as entertainment, and I don't like. There is some sort of, I would imagine, some opinion based things that come out, because of course he has to say positive things about it if he's getting paid for it.
Like, his stuff is like, I can't believe I fucking died. This game's horrible. So in this case,
someone to do what they do normally.
It's like an
and
infomercial.
you're basically telling them that they cannot say anything bad if they truly believe there is anything bad about it. Like, otherwise they won't get paid. I mean, honestly, that's not cool.
It's not cool, but what I said earlier, they signed the contract.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it was cool or not. They agreed to it.
So fuck both of them.
Exactly.
Seriously.
Like, I think this is less about Warner Brothers being wrong and more so these YouTubers. Because they, just in the same way last week with T Martin and Syndicate, they weren't honest with their viewership. Like, if
it's
we
still shame on Warner Brothers for doing
it's
something.
Shame on both of them.
Exactly.
It's like,
you can't excuse someone for
you can't be. They weren't forced at gunpoint to do the shady deal. So they're both villains here. But hopefully, because the FTC got involved, I know all these videos have since been slapped with the disclaimer, so But this is a good thing. The last 2 weeks, it's proving that YouTube is gonna not be as much of a frontier or like the pioneer days as it is currently, and it's gotten better and better. And just to prove it right here, I don't know if it was YouTube or Google or whoever released this information, but apparently record companies make more than half of their money on YouTube from Content ID pings. And if you don't know what that is, you can see some of our content. Basically, companies out there, their sole job is to search for copyright infringement, and then they monetize the content for their whoever owns the rights, so the actual creator doesn't get money. So Google's paid more than $3 billion to date for monetization claims over copyright, which is 50 times more likely to happen than a DMCA takedown notice. So someone could illegally put up a pirated version of a song on YouTube, have like 10,000 listens. Now, obviously, there's going to be other versions of the song. There's going to be the official Vivo video. There's going to be the Spotify version. There's going to be countless other streams available. But whoever record company will leave that up, and they'll just take all of the rights from that video, which they end up making more money off of than the actual video they put up in the first place.
And the creators of the content don't get anything if they're using a song at all on that. I mean, I know that's been going on, that there's people that make a living on YouTube just, to create stuff that they're supposed to be protected under for fair use. But then the DMCA, just someone puts a copyright claim on there, and then even though the video's not taken down, they stop making money off of it.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is getting the just the stuff that they put hard work into.
It happens like
it could be even when they
instantaneous.
don't have shit on there, even if it's just someone
Eh,
talking about like a movie in their car.
The
like,
content ID is really good. Like it's almost instantaneous for our content, and it doesn't really matter for us because we don't monetize our material.
we don't get nearly enough views to start making any
Well,
money off that.
I'd feel shady about putting ads on our content because what's the fuck, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, it'd be cool if you're listening and you want us to be sponsored. Then yeah, we'll pitch whatever the fuck product it is. I don't give a fuck. Like money. I'm happy with money. Like Netflix want to sponsor us, great. Free account for life.
I mean,
great.
Netflix is cool. Like
Yeah.
as long as if it's like a shitty product,
But the fact
I don't
that
know. I might throw a bigger fight on it.
most of our copyright claims I'm okay with. It's generally like, oh, it's unable to be played in Germany for some reason. I guess they have like real strict copyright laws there. It must be a Nazi holdover. But yeah, most of our a lot of our
Never
videos.
say that in Germany, man.
Fuck them. Most.
Just saying, you can get in trouble for referencing the Third Reich in some way. There.
Most of our videos, the copyright claims, it doesn't really hurt us. It's still able to be played. Just yes, someone out there is making money off of it. However, the exceptions to that rule are like our Star Wars holiday video. That isn't able to be played like anywhere. I don't think.
Yeah. At first, I think it was like just the United States, and then
It's like
made its way to
everywhere. Yeah, like no one can listen to that on YouTube, which is weird. Even stranger than that, it's the only episode that we have where that's happened. Our Daredevil season 2 review, that is muted in every country over a copyright claim, which doesn't make sense.
Is that just because of the theme song?
Yeah.
Wow.
Even
though it's protected under fair use.
No, yeah, like on
it's promoting the
iTunes,
product there,
on Google Play Music, on our actual website, it's fine. No one would take it down because it's obviously we're making our own content. But yeah, on YouTube, some asshole out there, it had to be Netflix or Disney, went, let's mute the shit out of this unless they take the song out. And I'm not going to change it.
I think those are the only two things. Those are the only two episodes that take music that's owned by Disney. I mean, the Star Wars theme at that point, Star Wars is owned by Disney, so yeah, it's probably them.
It's probably Disney. It's the mouse. It's the dastardly empire.
I mean, things like Captain America, it's like I took those directly from the trailer. Why would they want to take stuff from a trailer down? I don't think that's something they would do.
The internet don't make sense sometimes. But I thought it was funny that record companies, and not just them, but anyone that owns the rights, make so much, $3 billion to date. For something
I don't think it's funny.
I'm like not funny, like funny, but yeah, like funny sad.
It's like that's absurd
that they make that much money off of content that they didn't produce, and they never produced in the first place. It was some artist, signed a deal with them, and they own the rights to it. That's an absurd amount of money. They should just all the money that they get from copyright claims on YouTube, they should have to donate to charity or something. Or something like along those lines, because they don't. Why do they deserve the money for the content that we made and countless other people out there made? Like, if I'm not going to it would make sense to me if I try to monetize our content, and then they stole the money back that they properly deserved. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we're using stuff that they created.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense.
I just have two minds about this, but
if I'm
still,
not
it
charging,
is absurd how much they're getting. From
the
this.
fact that I'm not trying to make money off of our content and they're making money regardless, that they force their hand and make people watch ads for a couple of our videos is asinine. Why? How should that be possible? It's only something that Google did because when they bought YouTube, it was like a pirate haven. You could watch any TV show, any movie, listen to any album on there without ads, without restrictions, without takedown notices. And so they had to find a way to make that okay. And this is the solution that they found. But it needs some work. It shouldn't be this way. More so than Warner Brothers falsely making basically paid advertisements for using YouTube personalities, because that's like an ethical quandary, whereas this is a legal one. This is stupid that they're getting rich off of something they don't deserve.
And it's just, where is that money coming from? I mean, seriously, I know there's ads that they get money back from, but still, it's
Google's
people
adding
getting
revenue.
it's like other people are losing more money and people are just getting richer over. I don't know. This is a whole other argument that I just don't want to talk about.
It's scary. I got two last
I got a
important
lot of
things.
those apparently.
I got two last important things here that are like lesser so. The first one more, and then we're gonna move into the stupid category. But this is some streaming over the air or over the top stuff rather. So this week, ABC relaunched their streaming platform. This is kind of proof of what I've talked about on the show before. And so they just added a plethora of their old library stuff, including like My So-Called Life, Ugly Betty, probably Scrubs. I don't know. It's a long list. But if you've ever used ABC Go, there's a ton more there than it used to be. It's basically like Netflix, except only ABC content. And this is something that...
So like HBO mainly.
Sort of, yeah. But it's you know, it's not premium stuff. It's stuff that's probably actually already on Netflix or Amazon to begin with. But the fact that it's all there is pretty cool. A step beyond this, which is exactly what I've talked about multiple times on the show, is Fox has begun doing nightly simulcast streams of its primetime content, complete with local branding and commercials. So this is free for all of their pay TV subscribers, and it's available on authenticated apps on Android, iOS, Apple TV, even Chromecast. But every night, when they're doing their primetime stuff, this started with So You Think You Can Dance this past week, you're able to watch the whole primetime block. Like, you can watch, well, Glee's not on their station anymore, but Scream Queens, Gotham, Lucifer, all that stuff, including commercials, when it's happening, kind of in the same way that HBO Go or Now does it, where it's like, as soon as it's showing, you can watch it on demand, except this isn't on demand. This is live streaming. This is like watching Twitch or Periscope or YouTube Live or Facebook Live. Like, this is as it happens, and this is better than Hulu. And if you already have Fox, it's free. So I really think that everyone's going to be doing this. CW, ABC, CBS, all of the major, what's the term for them? Broadcast companies.
Yeah.
There you go. Because it's a non-brainer. I'm surprised it even took this long.
I mean, and the fact that more and more people are, what's the term? Cable cutting. I mean, the fact that you can like stream it now. I mean, this is the thing of, like, cable has to transition over the internet. It doesn't make sense that just a system so ancient and archaic at this point, like,
especially when
as a delivery system, it's just like, ever since we've gotten streaming, like,
even before that, when they cut the actual analog TV signals and made it all digital, that's when it totally didn't make sense. Because wait, let me get this right. It's all digital to begin with, and yet I can't like access it on my computer, which is all digital too. Like, it's already out there. This is proof that it's easy. Like, this wasn't like, oh my god, we're going to be doing this next week. It happens, and then the news reported on it.
Like, I think by 2 years from now, like, it'll be so custom that we're just not even really talking about it as news anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be
talking about the content specifically.
No, you're going to like. With Dish Anywhere, and also I know DirecTV Now is like kind of the same way. I can watch like the majority of the TV from my Dish DVR on like any internet device. I can watch it on my phone, my tablet, my computer. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if I'm at home or abroad. I can access not just what's recorded on my DVR, but also live content. And that makes sense because, you pay a lot of money for a cable provider like that.
Yeah.
But we're going to get to a point kind of like where PlayStation Vue is, where you pay very little and you're able to watch this stuff either right as it happens or the next day, kind of like Hulu, or maybe just, you don't have any control over it and it's kind of just like peering through a window into what's happening. But yeah, in 2 years for sure. Like, in 2 years' time, the movie theater could be dead. It could be like
not dead, but it'll attendance keeps dropping.
Okay,
and there's
not the movie
ways
theater.
That try to keep it alive.
Not the movie theater, but the multiplex. The multiplex is probably gonna be dead in 2 years. Because even when I have a good theater experience, I didn't even talk about it during Ghostbusters. But the guy that was sitting next to me, he was clearly a Ghostbusters fan. He was loving it. He was like slapping his knee for all the cameos and jokes, like having a hoot and a holler. I was kind of annoyed by that.
See, I don't have that like anymore. I do not go. I don't call it a multiplex. I think that the biggest Alamo that I have near me is like maybe 10 screens or something. I don't know, like that, but I don't think that counts really.
No, it doesn't count.
It's still, Yeah, I mean, they're still they got big rooms and everything, but yeah,
Like I don't. I wish I could just go to revival cinema houses or go
oh
to
yeah.
small artistry chains. Like
Like
if I
even when I was
lived
in
in
California, I could have gone back to old theaters I was familiar with, but I just kind of
Mhm.
felt like, why bother? It's really not going to be the same.
I'm,
Like I only went to one theater when I was in California, and that was the New Beverly.
yeah, I could I
Like,
could if I had the money and the time, I could go to the New Beverly and the ArcLight for everything, and I'd love every experience.
uh-huh.
But that's not the case. Like if I'm seeing a blockbuster, I'm gonna go down the street. And I don't want to be doing that when we're already in the year of VR, when 4K TVs are a thing, and you would use a 4K projector in the theater to begin with. Like, if you're seeing a horror film or a comedy, then yeah, the audience adds a certain
It's like,
aspect.
yeah, movie theaters will always be a thing, like, with new stuff and especially
Maybe.
classics. Because, I mean, when you're in movie towns, people are very, there's always some sort of introduction at a repertory screening, and they always affirm what is supposed to be the movie going experience and why we're there when they do their little introduction
Hmm.
and how cool it is that we're there to begin with. And those things are always fucking full. So, I mean, yeah, it's not going to be gone, but.
I think the multiplex will be.
Yeah,
Or at
like
least
just that
not.
idea, and then people line up and they get their popcorn and all that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
no, I don't need that anymore.
like we
I don't even have any plans of going to that. If that's my only option to see a movie, then sure. But yeah,
we've
I
both
like what I got.
we've both worked for American multiplex chains. We
Hmm.
know how it works behind the scenes,
Oh yeah,
and it's a shitty work environment, and no one there really enjoys it. And then I can't speak for all patrons, but I know I enjoy it less and less as someone that's going to the theater.
like as someone that has been to different types, I will say that the ones with the fewer screens, as far as working environments, they're more
Mhm.
pleasant and people have more fun there. And then they have reoccurring patrons that actually like being there, and there's something more personable going on. When it's the other side of the coin, not so
Yeah,
much.
the 30 house monster it's like going to a mall. It really is. Like it was made in America. I think it still only really
It's
exists
like
here.
it's far more nasty. Like patrons are more nasty, and when you're in a leadership position, you're expected to be just as nasty to the people you work with, and that's not cool.
So yeah, that was the important stuff. Now we're going to talk about stupid before we get to VR. I'm really mad about this. Like, crazy mad. When I read this, I was like, fuck you on Twitter. I didn't actually tweet that out, but I said it vocally.
Really?
The Weinstein Company has
Okay.
pushed the founder back to December 16th, and
I
then
didn't
it's
know
going
you
to
wanted
go.
to see this that bad.
It's going wide January 20th. It's supposed to come out next month.
Mm-hmm.
They pushed it 4 months down the road so it could be more primed for Oscar voting.
I
Sure.
think that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, sure, I get it.
Because it does look like, I mean, it at least looks fun, but if it's that good, if they're that confident in it,
I
I
don't
think
want
that's a
to.
great sign for it.
I don't want to wait longer for Michael Keaton on screen. Okay. I've been pleasantly
that's a good-
surprised for the last 2 years that I've been able to see him in good movies in the theater, and I have to wait a little bit longer. It's going to be like exactly a year to date, and exactly
Calm
2
down.
years
It's
to date.
just a little bit longer. Now, Star Wars Episode 8 getting delayed, that's something that I'm more upset about.
We'll talk about Star Wars in a second, but no, I was like pretty mad about this. Like, I get it.
You'll be fine.
I will be fine. I get it,
Yeah.
but I'm not really excited
You can
about
make a
Jay
Michael
Kroc.
Keaton dit to cinema pick if you want.
Sure, but I wasn't really excited about seeing how McDonald's came to be, but I was really anticipating seeing Michael Keaton in a true starring role because in Birdman it's about everyone, in Spotlight it's really about everyone, but
That's an ensemble, yeah.
this is a Michael Keaton star. Like, this is him in full force. Like, I'm going to show you how to make the most successful like chain restaurant of all time.
No, I mean, that is a cool setup, and you want to see him dominate that. I mean, just based on that trailer, he owns the space.
I haven't seen the trailer.
Like, really?
Yeah, I don't want
Oh,
to.
okay,
And now
yeah,
I gotta
don't-
wait.
don't.
Now I gotta wait. An extra couple of months to see anything. And by
Well,
that
the movie-
point, I'll definitely see a trailer.
Well,
I'll see
don't
the
worry,
second
movie looks
trailer.
a lot of fun.
I'll see the second trailer that ruins everything, where like
Well,
it
then-
shows him create the Golden Arches logo or whatever.
Well, hey, I mean, it's good for the movie at least if it's coming out at a good spot. And if you want to avoid the trailer, then just close your eyes and plug your ears. And
No,
you'll
I
be
don't.
fine.
I don't do that. I just show up to the theater
No.
late. I'd rather
Yeah,
miss the
'cause your
first.
ears are very sensitive. That's right.
I'd rather miss the first 5 minutes of a movie than see the trailers nowadays. Like for some weird reason, I used to love getting to the theater on time. I used to like search out YouTube or iTunes for the trailers. Now I avoid them as much as possible because I don't know who out there in Hollywood cuts together trailers, but
Trailers have
they
gotten
fucking
worse.
suck. Yeah, they've gotten a lot worse.
Yeah, like
when
I've
you
gone back to YouTube before and just looked back at old trailers, and it's like, yeah, like
it sells
there
you
is
without
a nice structure there,
yeah.
and like now it's just like, oh, here's a scene, let's throw some dramatic music and make this moment look big. It's like, oh, because this is how this trailer did it, and by design, people should feel
No.
impressed. No, that's
Now
not
the way
how
they
it
do it
fucking
is
works.
here's this scene, here's this scene, here's
Yeah.
the climax, here's what's gonna happen, the movie's over.
Like, I mean, it's rare. I can depend on a good trailer from someone like J.J. Abrams, who at least has a hand in the marketing. But yeah, like that trailer for Force Awakens, that last one specifically, that's a really fucking well constructed trailer.
But for every one of those, you get a Batman versus Superman or Civil War. Like
Yeah,
they did not
I mean,
need
that last Batman versus Superman just completely fucked up.
They didn't need a Civil War trailer where they showed Spider-Man. We're all going to see it anyway. And the fact that like the internet was crazy about Spider-Man for like 3 days because of that trailer. You didn't need
That's
that.
the thing. Like Marvel has great trailers too. Like they're really. I don't know if it's a Disney thing or I mean. Because, they were able to hide some stuff real well. Like, Iron Man 3 had a great teaser.
I love
Like,
that movie.
it
I don't know
really
why
did, yeah.
enough people didn't.
Oh, no, well, I mean, a big
Yeah,
twist
you're
pissed
talking about
them
the one
off.
where he's carrying the body, or not the body, he's carrying his suit through the snow.
That's the one that ends with that. And all that trailer says is, hey, this Tony Stark is going to get fucked in this movie. Doesn't give away any big moments. It just, like, sets up, okay, he's got post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, I don't think
and-
you even see Guy Pearce in that trailer.
You don't see him say any lines. It's really just a voiceover, and then the Mandarin's voiceover comes in after that in that first teaser. But you probably see like a couple clips of him in between.
But even so, it's not, oh, here's the bad guy.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it just gives you enough information. Doesn't give you anything, but gives you enough to want to see more, and that's what trailers should do.
Yeah. Well, first off, I think they should go back to how it used to be. It's called a trailer. It's supposed to trail the movie. It's like, you finish the movie, you sit through the credits, here's things that are coming up, guys. They should go back to that, because...
Oh, yeah, and there's also some, like, old trailers also, they would give away a lot of
some
stuff,
of,
though.
Well, some of the old ones, yeah, they did suck. But I'm
They
talking
would
about,
narrate, like who these
the
people were and told
trailers,
you what would happen.
the trailers we grew up with. The trailers from, like, the mid-90s to mid-2000s. Great trailers,
Yeah.
man.
See,
Now...
like, I love teasers.
Yeah,
I mean,
teasers are only good for certain movies, though. If it's something that you don't have any understanding for, you're not familiar with the product, then
that's
yeah,
the thing
you
is,
gotta
like,
sell it.
That's what I miss about getting original, like, big blockbusters, is that you just have a teaser to sell a concept.
Like Armageddon or like Deep Impact or even that first Transformers. Like if
Absolutely.
they just wanted you in the house, and now they want you to fully understand if you like it or not. The one I got in hand here, maybe you've seen a trailer for that Nerve movie that's coming out with Emma Roberts and Dave Franco.
Yeah, I want to see it, but it probably gives away way too
It looks
much.
okay, yeah, but that trailer gave away the whole fucking movie. It gave you the setup, which made sense. I was like, oh, this seems real cool. I like this concept.
Yeah.
And then it showed you, like, the second act.
Like, you know everything up to the
Yes.
climax.
No, you get the
the
climax in
problem.
that trailer.
Yeah, I'm saying up to it.
Like, like, it ends with, like, oh, now it's the Hunger Games type of thing. And I could have really wanted to see this, and now I feel like I've already seen it.
I still do. I just don't want to rush out to it.
I'm not
But,
gonna
I
see it in
mean,
theaters.
Yeah, it's a bummer that, because I mean it's probably just, it's gonna feel much more safe now watching the actual movie. It's not gonna be that suspenseful. But then again, I forgot enough of the trailer, I guess, at this point, that hopefully it'll still work enough for me. But yeah, just
No.
that's not the point.
The point
Trailers
is
have definitely gotten worse.
the trailers have gotten worse, and studios are getting even more worse. You want proof of that? Like I said, this is a stupid category. The twin directors behind Daybreakers and Predestinations, they're making a movie for Lionsgate. You want to take a crack at which one
Really?
it is? Yeah. It's a franchise
It's a franchise.
that Lionsgate owns. That they said they were done making.
Is it a horror franchise?
Yeah, it's called Saw. They're making the
Fuck.
8th Saw film.
Fuck, why?
Yeah, so the production is starting
Why?
later this summer. It's codenamed
Oh,
Legacy.
man.
They couldn't let a bad thing go.
I'm still... You know what? The fact that Lionsgate's doing that, fine, whatever. If it tanks, then they'll learn
It
their
better
lesson
tank.
from that, like, for, 5 years until they try to bring it back again. But The Spirit Brothers, why? Why are they doing it? Oh man,
I got no allegiance to
God
them.
damn it, why?
I'll watch Predestination eventually. I fucking hated Daybreakers,
it's
but
so good. I mean, even if you don't like Predestination, like it's still
I'll see it eventually.
Beast
Yeah,
that you have to respect it.
I like time travel movies. I'm interested. I like Ethan Hawke. I'll check it out.
Yeah, with that and Daybreakers, like at least they're very why they're so much better than that. Why?
No, they're not. They wanted the big money.
Why?
They wanted to make a Saw film.
Well, it's I don't know. Hopefully it's a deal with Lionsgate that if they make a Saw film, then they'll be able to make something else.
I doubt it.
That.
It's like more like you make a Saw movie, you can make the ninth one. It'll be like it'll still be Saw. This is what's it's gonna be like Saw with 3 eyes after the end of it.
Maybe
so it's
they
Roman
have
numerals.
great ideas for traps.
I'm sure they have great ideas for
traps. Maybe they have
traps.
a cool idea on it.
I'm sure it's gonna look awesome in 3D. I'm sure the VR advertising behind this is gonna be awesome. I'm sure the movie's also gonna fucking suck too. They stopped the franchise not because it wasn't making money anymore. It's because no one really liked the movies.
Well, then the 7th one was supposed to be the last one.
Yeah, it was called. Wasn't it called Saw 7: The End or the final movie?
Yeah, like it was. That's literally it's such bullshit. But yeah, they did set it up as like, hey, this is what it's all been building up to.
And
which
on top of that,
stupid, but,
they also they re-released the first Saw movie this past Halloween as the 10th anniversary. Go see it to have fun type of thing. You do that when the franchise is over, not when you're secretly finding a way to get even more money from it.
Well, apparently they made enough money off of that because I think that did fairly well.
Yeah, probably made like 10 or 20 million.
It wasn't like Back to the Future Day or anything, but yeah, it was kind of awesome that did well and that movie still has a lot of staying power.
Apparently it wasn't awesome because that's the reason why they greenlit this next movie. It's like, is it just going to be like a Star Wars Episode 7 or a Terminator Genesis where it's like, let's just start the franchise again, but also kind of pay homage? It's going to be what it is.
The best I can say is like they got the Spirit Brothers in there. They got 2 movies I really like. Please be good. Like, please surprise me with this. Like, I don't think it will, but I would really love this to be justified. Just based on that at least has me interested in seeing where it goes, and I'm sure I'll follow the marketing and I'll fucking jump hard on the marketing and accuse it of being just a piece of shit right away. But by the time the movie is out, that's all that's going to matter. So that's the best I can hope for at this point if they're going to do this.
This is what they should decide to do instead.
It really doesn't need to happen.
Kill this movie right now before it even happens. Lionsgate just bought Starz. Make a Saw TV show on Starz.
I don't know. That'll get dull real fast.
Maybe, but Saw would make good for serialized.
Are repetitive, but to be fair, the 6th Saw, like at least that is a legitimately good movie. Like there is.
I stopped at 3.
Okay, 6. I mean, the best movies are 1 and 6 to me because 6 actually it has a social commentary that is political, but there is the person that's going through all the traps. They do have an arc as they're going through it, kind of very similar to how at least the first movie was, in that there is a journey with this character that you're going on, and everything that they go through is reflective of. Well, I'm trying to say this vaguely to not give it away, but I mean, yeah, everything that happens in the social commentary of the movie, it all connects very well to the point where the movie is beyond just nasty traps and seeing shit for the sake of gore. Like all that stuff is intense, but there is a narrative reason for why it's happening, and I thought it was really cool how they did that.
It was happening to make a sequel after the sequel, obviously.
No. Like then after that, it just, I don't know. 7 was supposed to set it up as the end, and it made some weird ass plot of the guy from Boondock Saints being a fraud that wrote a book about his experience being in a trap. It was.
Here's the final.
A good one could still maybe be made, I guess. Yeah. If the 6th movie of a franchise is good, then maybe an 8th one can be too.
Oh, same goes for Star Wars. But here's the final stupid item I got this week, and this one really ruffled my feathers more so than that Slash film, the characters this summer that aren't quite gay enough. Mm-hmm. The Verge has this article right now that says like Wonder Woman was written by 3 men. Fuck them, basically. What?
Okay.
Yeah. It's a op-ed about how there's a problem with DC for not having a female writer for their Wonder Woman movie. It's like, excuse me? It has like an all-female cast besides Chris Pine. It's directed by Patty Jenkins. It's produced by 2 women.
I guess just
And it's
no
the
one's going to be
first,
happy until a movie is made
yeah,
with nothing but women.
yeah, and it's the
Yeah.
first superhero film to star a woman. On top of that, and to be directed by
Hmm.
one. I mean, that means little. But in addition to those, great things, I don't think I've ever read a Wonder Woman story in the comics that was written by a woman. All of the good ones of the recent past were written by men.
I don't want to argue this because
I'm, I'm just,
it's
no,
an endless
no,
debate
yeah,
that
this
leads
is
to nothing. It's just someone complaining that there are
it's
men working on something. I
it,
mean,
it's someone who got a platform for some stupid reason, complaining
it's a
about
trap.
something that's
Okay,
not out
just
there yet.
don't argue it. I mean, first off, like, what do you want? Like a completely dominant female production or something? Or
I
I mean,
guess so.
like. What? So are men not allowed to work anything? White men, for that matter, is it not? Is the idea not supposed to be diversity and everyone helps each other in creating this one thing at the end of the day?
I'm sure
There's someone work. Whatever. I don't care about this
if
one.
there were female writers on the movie,
Yeah.
I'm sure that the problem they would have raised was that the producer isn't a woman, and if he was, then it would be the studio president wasn't a woman, and
Hey,
then the
there's a female
marketer,
producer on Batman versus Superman. Guardians of the Galaxy had a female writer.
co-writer.
I don't know. If I cared enough to go look on the internet right now, I could point to a ton of different examples. And what would be the point anyway? Because it's stupid. This argument
No,
is a trap.
the article was really. I didn't even read it. I couldn't bring myself to read it. I saw it multiple times because The Verge does this thing where they write a stupid piece like this and then they retweet it like 1,000 times.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it might have some merit because
No.
I don't want to give a final opinion on an article I haven't read. But if
You can
that's,
go out there and search for it.
If
Type
my
in-
assumptions are correct, then either way.
Type in The Verge Wonder Woman.
Hey, the assumptions I'm making about this article, then if based on the way it's described to me, if it's like that, then yeah, it sounds like bullshit. But
It is totally bullshit.
it sounds like a really stupid complaint, honestly.
It's not even that it's a stupid complaint. It's a complaint that they shouldn't be making in the first place. Because despite Tasha Robinson writing for The Verge, this wasn't done by her. They're supposed to be a tech website. They're supposed to give reviews and breaking news and opinions on technology. They also branch out into music and movies. They kind of do what we do, except people go to them for technology. And when they write a piece of shit like this, I go, why would you even write something like this when you weren't created to begin with to share these kind of viewpoints? They're going past where their readership is interested in. But I guess
yeah, and
someone's
also-
interested because they wrote the thing.
Yeah, and it's a good clickbait to get responses. I mean, it is one of those things, like we've had this conversation like over the country recently of just media just sensationalizing something just to get people angry. And I mean, it sounds, I have not read it, it just sounds like an obvious example of that, with a comment thread below going, oh, that's such bullshit, that like, why can't you get a woman to write a Wonder Woman movie, like, or you fucking sexist, misogynistic
Like,
piece of shit.
what
Warner
would have
Brothers, like,
happened
fuck you, like.
What if this
Seriously.
was the Joss Whedon Wonder Woman movie? Would this article still exist? Would they say he doesn't know how to write female characters? Like, what is the
Someone
problem
would.
here?
Someone would say that, and an article like that, if it got enough traction, then yeah, it could have this whole movement online that pisses off a group of people. And it is one of those things where the internet is kind of dangerous because it can breed so much unnecessary
Just
backlash.
stupid.
I mean, it's not like insane hate like other things that have been happening in this country, but
It's not
just-
good enough
yeah,
that we're getting
I mean-
this huge feminist icon on screen, finally, that she's leading the whole thing. She's not a sidekick or anything. She doesn't even have a sidekick to begin with. And then it has this great talent behind it that DC and Warner Brothers is giving it a big push already. It's going to be huge at Comic-Con. There's like a layout in Entertainment Weekly this week, which is awesome. It's basically a centerfold, except it's just two pieces, and it's her doing like the pose. It was an awesome article to read, and they're talking about the production and how they went around to improving her wardrobe from Batman vs Superman and all these things. I'm like really excited. It's like just over a year from now, and then I read this thing, or almost read it. Like I said, I had to stop. I had to close my window before I even got through it. And it's like no one can be satisfied.
Well, we know this, I mean, just fuck this article. Like, this conversation is a trap, honestly. Let's move on to something more important.
Well, VR is always more important, so let's talk about that.
Definitely.
This week, Star Wars Celebration, I think it's called East whatever. The European version in London just finalized today. Not a lot of info came out of there. It's like, oh, Auden Einrich is like proven to be the young Han Solo. Yeah, we know that. Like, he's gonna be in Rogue One probably. Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, there was actually a great meme that I saw though today that was floating around on Twitter. It was basically of they took that scene in a clip, still of that scene in what's the movie called that just came out that he was in? The Coen Brothers movie.
Hail Caesar.
That where Ray Fiennes is directing his character. And just on top of that, below there were captions that just said, "Okay, had Phil Lord and Chris Miller repeating the line,
Lawrence Lawrence.
Never tell me the odds."
What was his name?
And it just has his face.
Lawrence Lawrence.
Yeah. I forgot. And
so
but I mean,
weird.
Still, you know the scene where he's just telling them how to pronounce the line. And I found that funny, just picturing them directing him that way, saying, "Never tell me the odds," with that Texas accent.
So they covered that. The internet, it's all things the internet's already known, that Star Wars Episode 8 begins like seconds after Episode 7 ends. Mm-hmm. The real important things here are on the VR front. The first of which is that the Star Wars VR experience Trials on Tatooine is going to be available for free tomorrow for all HTC Vive owners. So July 18th, you're going to be able to wield a lightsaber in VR. That's really fucking awesome. If that wasn't good enough, David Goyer is working with ILM X Lab on a Darth Vader VR movie right now. That was like the pinnacle of my internet reading today. It's said to have day and night cycles. It's going to have full interaction with environments and characters, and even perhaps continue when you're not jacked in. There's no gate. I gotta switch
you
that.
Have Darth Vader vision? Or
no, like he's gonna. I don't know exactly. It's still kind of hazy. There's no date given on this. It's going to come out in a year or two. But it's going to be a canon story featuring Darth Vader. I don't think you're going to be from his viewpoint. I think more...
No, you can just go anywhere.
No, like you're a fly on the wall
anywhere. Okay.
While all of this stuff is happening, and yet it revolves around Darth Vader. David Goyer, I don't always love his work, but he's worked on a lot of shit. Obviously the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. He worked on, the Blade movies... If you can think,
also directed The Unborn.
Yeah, no, don't bring up his bad
shit.
shit.
Invisible. Yeah. His bad shit's kind of amazing.
Did he write I Am Number 4? Was he involved with that? Like,
did he?
I don't know. He's done a lot of bad stuff, and even his good stuff.
So directed it, but
even his good stuff isn't always. Even his bad stuff's not even that good, and vice versa.
So he has a very clear writing style that you can see between his good shit and his bad shit, and it just really depends on how the material is being handled, but. No, he's not the best director as far as quality.
He's not directing this. This is an ILM thing.
Didn't he direct one of the Blade movies?
He might have directed Blade Trinity. He definitely didn't do Blade 2 because that was Guillermo del Toro. And the first one, I don't remember who directed that, but yeah, I think he directed the really bad third one. He definitely wrote all those movies. I think he was even involved with the Spike TV show that failed after 3 episodes. I think he was only 2. But I'm looking forward to this. I would like... So if you have HTC Vive and you're in the Southern California area, let me know. Let me go to your place and do the Star Wars VR thing. That'd be cool.
Hey, maybe you'll get to sample it at Best Buy.
I doubt it. Because Best Buy doesn't have HTC. I only know...
Yeah, they got Oculus.
There's a GameStop in West Hollywood that has HTC Vive demo. And I kind of want to go out there. First off, I did another PlayStation VR demo yesterday. I experienced 2 more games, had some fun conversations with the people. So I'm sold on it. It's less than... I actually have a countdown. It's 87 days away, so it's pretty close. And there is going to be a Star Wars experience for that too. It's going to be flying the X-wing through the Death Star, the trench.
Oh, by the
sequence,
way, just to get this out of the way, he did not. I can't find I Am Number 4 on here.
No.
No.
It seemed like something that he could have done.
He is a producer on The Birth of a Nation, so
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. That new poster looks pretty kick-ass, where it's Nate Parker and he has the noose. That's the American flag. That seems like it's the movie everything that Free State of Jones thought it was. No one's talking about that movie. It died so fast.
I completely forgot that
it
happened.
came out 2 weeks ago. No one gave a shit. It's pretty sad. I know I'll watch it screener season or when it's on Netflix or whatever, and it's probably gonna suck real bad.
Man, that's a bummer.
But
yeah, example of a trailer that completely
ruined the movie. Yeah,
ruined any tension in one scene.
in a big
that
scene.
you knew could have been set up real well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Other VR stuff. We're talking about Warner Brothers a minute ago. They're doing a Suicide Squad VR marketing thing. It's going to be at Comic-Con, and it's being introduced, or not introduced, but it's a partnership with Samsung. So you guessed it, it's exclusive to Samsung Gear VR because everything fucking is. This is going to be at Comic-Con, like I said. It's also going to be at the film's premiere. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be like standard VR advertising tie-in stuff where it's going to be like, oh, here's a sequence in VR. It's like, oh, here's the Joker and Harley Quinn stealing the Batman's car and him on it, but you're watching it from the side. It's something that I really wish I could experience, but, they don't give a fuck about Google Cardboard if Samsung throws the money at you or something along those lines. I don't understand this. I don't understand why they're pigeonholing certain experiences in VR before everyone can experience VR.
Well, they're still trying to get a bunch of people on board about it because like you talk about it a lot, but the average consumer really doesn't know about it. Like I can't really start a conversation on this with anybody. So
that's what I'm saying. It would make sense if we're like 3 years from now and VR is a thing where it's like in the same way that only certain apps are on iOS because it's like, oh, everyone has an iPhone, of course. Why wouldn't it be on iOS? It's easier that way. But the fact that VR isn't widespread, that very few people have experienced it or even know what it is really, and yet there are certain experiences, whether that be NBC's Olympic coverage or this, that are only on Samsung or are only on HTC Vive or they're only on Oculus. Like it seems
who
like
is it that's making it difficult? Those that are trying to distribute the content, or those that are creating it, or the distributors themselves that are just demanding exclusivity?
I don't know. I really don't.
It really depends on how this is working out because I don't know.
In terms of the Suicide Squad thing, what I have to bet is the reason is Warner Brothers knows that the majority of VR users out there, at least at a low threshold paywall, are using Gear VR. A lot of people have bought those devices. They're only $100. There's a lot of Samsung Galaxy users out there. There's more Google Cardboard devices, but yet they are attracting a more premium feel. I don't know. Maybe it's so they can control everyone's experience. But it has to be for a marketing reason. I'm sure Warner Brothers, they could have went to Google, they could have went to HTC, they could have went to Oculus with this, and Samsung is the one that paid them. That's a possibility. That's probably what it was in terms of the Olympics. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because only a certain number of viewers, me excluded, are going to be able to witness this kind of thing. Like when you take the flip of the coin, you can download a Legendary VR app on any Google Cardboard device. You can experience Warcraft, Crimson Peak, and Pacific Rim on any VR device. It doesn't matter which one it is. That's how it should be right now. Like, I don't think you should lock in experiences to certain devices until the marketplace is kind of settled, until people know what they want and why. And then it's like, you got this, good thing, here it goes, here's your special thing. Like, I'm probably going to get some, like, God of War VR experience on PSVR. That's only for PlayStation. That makes sense. You know why? Because they own the intellectual property. Why would it be available on every other device? But when it's something like this, when it's a brand new movie franchise, and yet there's all of these devices, why wouldn't Warner Brothers want to have anyone who has access to VR to experience this as a way to promote their film that a lot of people are excited about?
I can't tell. I mean, I see Comic-Con as like the perfect venue for it.
Like,
but
it makes sense at Comic-Con. They're going to have stands. Anyone can experience it.
Access to whatever it was called, the thing on Jakku for Star Wars, like
that was available for everyone.
Yeah.
Is it a Google Cardboard
maybe
thing?
I don't know. Maybe with exclusivity, it's confidence in the material that it's just so much better than what they had for Star Wars, and they're confident that this is going to get people to buy into the HTC. I doubt that will happen, but that's the only reason I could think that's justified, or not justified, but just maybe of why. Or then again, we're in the first year where this is really taking off, so they're still experimenting with it and making all the mistakes now before they do in the future. So who knows if we're even going to give a shit about this a year from now?
HTC Vive and who knows if it's exclusive? It's just right now for the Trials on Tatooine makes sense. Because it's the only one with room scale, and it's the only one currently that has a motion controller. And so if you want to have a lightsaber experience, you're going to A, want a controller that moves like a lightsaber can, and to have the ability to walk around things. Oculus can't do that. Google Cardboard doesn't have a controller. Gear VR doesn't either. So they made that with that in mind because it's the only one that meets their qualifications. For this thing, for the Suicide Squad on Samsung, it's probably going to be a stationary experience where you're just sitting there, you can look in all directions like most VR experiences are. It doesn't make sense to be behind, it's not necessarily a paywall, but behind a certain branding. Like, if I don't have this, I can't experience it. Like, imagine if there were, well, I guess Costco's kind of that way, but imagine that your car couldn't get gas at a gas station unless your car was, like, it's like only Chevys can get Arco gas. That's kind of what this is like. It's like you're missing out on this experience on this thing because you bought the wrong thing. And I talked about this like 3 weeks ago, and I think it's too early to put up these kind of constraints. That you're limiting, not, like I said, the possibility for Suicide Squad to be more anticipated, but you're also limiting the viewership. The fact that the people that bought these other devices can't experience it. Like,
it just makes it so much more harder for those that want to buy a device to
yeah.
decide on which one.
And it's just a more fragmented user, like, just universe, really, for VR. Like, if it's this way now, it's probably going to stay this way. It's kind of like how how cell phones used to be. It was like every single cell phone maker had their own charger. And so if you went to someone's house and you didn't bring your charger, your phone was dead. And then Android created the Open Handset Alliance, and they decided on certain things. It was like, everyone's going to have this charger. You're going to have this kind of thing, and that way it's great for everyone, regardless of what they decide to buy. Like, VR kind of, in my opinion, has to decide on something like that before it's too late. Because big people are taking advantage of it. It's not just entertainment. The final VR point I got here, the Huffington Post, they've seen the VR Lite, and they're joining the likes of the New York Times, and they're introducing 360 and VR video viewers that are going to be attached to all of their articles on desktop and mobile in the near future. So it doesn't matter what the story is. Instead of just like a little 2D video there of a summation, you could have a 360 experience or a VR experience. It's cheap to produce, at least for, the like on Google Cardboard, which is probably what this is targeting primarily, that it makes sense. Like, Good Morning America's already done VR content. Mm-hmm. Like, why, New York Times, like I said, why wouldn't Huffington Post? They're probably the most known online-only news source. It's a natural fit. It's like, we got this new tech. We're like a new version of the news. Let's work together. So if they can do it, like, Samsung can't. Fuck you, Samsung.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can't stir up any passionate response to that. But yeah, no. I mean, from your view, absolutely, this sounds really stupid.
I doubt I'm gonna.
But then again, I don't know. I mean, because it's happening right now. I don't know if this continues on, then I'll see it as being even more ridiculous. Like, mistakes like this, I don't know. I don't know what's going into it of how it goes just to get this stuff out there. But maybe it's just not that easy to get VR content out there on a massive scale to be accessible to everyone. But then again, I don't know. I don't know if it's what they're looking for, because this is supposed to be promotional content.
Yeah.
Like, you're not really going to get any revenue from that at all. So. Shit, I don't know.
Well, the idea of the promotion is that if people experience this and they really like it, then they're going to want to go see the movie.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're only trying to get tickets from Samsung users.
I don't know. Maybe the fear is that the promotional content will be so good and then the movie won't be, and they'll be worried that they're killing cinema that way of VR is just so much better.
No, that's not what this is. Like,
I don't know. Could that be it?
That
really?
That couldn't be it. Not right now. Like, if
like,
that was
that
the case,
sound like a thought that makes sense.
This wouldn't be a free experience. This wouldn't be a free app with this free content. It would be something that you have to pay for. It'd be like Suicide Squad VR costs $10 only on Samsung. Like, that would make sense to me. It's like a side story that's like, like 30 minutes long that you can play over and over again, and you're like, this is so good, this movie's gonna fucking either suck or kick ass because they've made this promotional like tie-in, kind of like the Martian tie-in that Oculus has. But I don't know. Moving out of VR to the cool stuff. I mean, VR is cool, but this is the cool section. It's basically the last one on the show. This could have been important, but I think it's kind of stupid, but Netflix just introduced a new shareable playlist feature called Flix Tapes. They're kind of marketing it as their own version of the mixtape. It sounds real cool on paper, except it can only be shared. It can be shared with one or several people, but the catch is that it's limited to either a list or just clips. It's not full content. So the idea here is like you create the name, movies I loved from 1985, and then you put the movies on there. You list them, and then you share it on Facebook or you text it to someone or whatever, and then they can watch that stuff. The reason apparently that it's only clips is because if it was like say like 5 movies and an episode of a TV show, that'd be a lot of stress on the servers. I just don't see this. I mean, this could be cool for our show. Like we could make a Debt to Cinema Flix tape and like share it on our website. But
yeah, maybe
I don't know. I think
I'm
it's
not sure how I would use that.
I think
honestly.
it's just
Like,
as easy to do this in terms of writing a list.
I mean, yeah, I think if someone just wants to put something cool together, that's just the average person online. Not some hardcore cinephile that they want to just show off to their friends, and yeah, maybe stuff that they haven't heard of. Then I don't know, maybe that's kind of cool. But
It's kind of cool. I just don't see it really going anywhere because
like, it's really just I don't know how people maybe using it just seems unnecessary. But then for all your friends on Facebook might look at it as something cool to click on. I don't know though.
maybe, like I said, like I could see not all of the selections we've done on Debt to Cinema are on Netflix, but it would be fun to compile them all on a list like this. Like call it
Yeah.
Dollar Reviews Debt to Cinema selections that are on Netflix or something, and then anyone could click that link. I don't know if this feature is live yet. I also don't know what devices it's accessible on. Maybe it's only the web currently. We see it. Maybe I have to play around with it. We can talk about it next week. Yeah, we both look into it. But it was a little cool thing. Like at least they're trying to do something different. Way cooler is Fox just made a put pilot order for an X-Men series for Fox, not FX, that is going to broadcast along their current content for comics, Gotham and Lucifer. Bryan Singer is involved with this. I don't know how it's going to work. It's all under wraps.
I don't know how I feel about this.
I like
honestly.
it.
Like this might be X-Men overload, and the idea of like a TV show of this every week. I mean,
they already have that Legion show on FX in production with Dan Stevens involved. So that's like its own thing, and I think that this is the more accessible kind of like CW type thing that they could do with their franchise, because
it's their way of competing. I mean,
Yeah.
I still have not watched anything on the CW yet.
You should check out.
Just
I
the
think-
idea of like I don't know superhero like live
No,
action
check out
stuff
The Flash.
on a
It's on
weekly
Netflix.
basis. For some reason, it just kind of I don't know, just doesn't attract me to it.
watch an episode of The Flash. I think you'll like it. Like Arrow, no. Gotham, you definitely. I mean, you might like the pilot of Gotham.
I honestly, Gotham wasn't that like one of the pilots that people just shat all over when that came out?
I really liked it. I live tweeted it. I mean, the show is very different from any of the CW stuff. It's its own thing. It's very dark, but just the production values alone, like it looks very much like the Christopher Nolan Gotham. Like, it looks very similar. The cityscape, everything about it. It's a real wacky show. Like it's called Gotham. It's about the city. It's about the villains in particular. It's like, yeah, Bruce Wayne's a character, Alfred's a character. It's not the way you've seen them before. You've never seen Bruce as like a fucking 13-year-old kind of crying all the time. And maybe I watch it just as an allegiance to the brand. But I really enjoy it. Like on a weekly basis, I get this like 42 minutes of kind of shit, but it's like I can laugh it off because I'm not real serious about it. And it's accessible for a lot of people. Like it has a real weird place in all of the live action superhero stuff. And
I don't know. I still got to finish Daredevil too. I mean,
yeah, you're way behind
that's
on
really
that.
probably the only one that I have actually checked out.
Like Luke Cage is coming out soon, so
oh man,
like that's only a month and a half away. It's September 30th.
I have not even finished Jessica Jones. I only watched like 2 episodes.
Yeah, you need to work on your TV consumption.
Well, yeah, I just never have time for it.
That's not.
why.
That's not. No.
Yeah.
how many you watch way more movies than I do. You just
Yeah,
choose
but
to fill your
I'm never at
time.
home. Usually, when I watch movies, I'm always out too. Like, I think the only time I watch movies now is like at home. If it's for Death to Cinema, then I have to watch something either on TV or on, like, I watch it on my computer. But yeah, it's actually way easier to just go out and watch stuff.
Not for me. It depends on what the show is. I don't watch
I'm always
everything.
out too, so
I'm not. I
there is
I
that.
try to conserve my money. Like when I found out about Amazon, that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me. 'Cause it used to be if I was at home, I couldn't buy anything, and now it's like, well, I can just get it shipped to me in a day or less. So it's kind of scary. Like
I don't know. Yeah, I'm in a town that kind of thrives on local businesses, so there is that.
there is that.
Yep.
There's this too. I almost put it in the important section because I kind of got something to say about it. But Nintendo is capitalizing on this wave of popularity that they have right now around
Of
the Pokemon
course.
Go, and they just announced this thing called the NES Classic Edition. It's a pint-sized plug-and-play version of their original Famicom computer system, well, the Family Computer System,
Hmm.
with pre-installed with 30 games. It's going to connect to TVs via HDMI, and it's even going to use, a replica controller that can be attached to the Wiimote and used for virtual console games on the Wii or Wii U. The games here, there's a lot. The ones in particular that are noteworthy: Castlevania, Donkey Kong, Double Dragon, Dr. Mario, Excite Bike, the first Final Fantasy, Galaga, Ghosts and Goblins, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3. Oh, does it have? Yeah, yeah. Mega Man, Metroid, Legend of Zelda 1 and 2, Tecmo Super Bowl. Like, there's a lot on this. It only costs $60, and it's coming out November 11th. I've had people ask about it at work. I personally won't buy one because I own Nintendo and about half of these games. But at that price point, like, it's a ridiculously good deal. It seems like it's going to be really cool. It'd be way cooler if it actually could play Nintendo games. But hopefully, if they were smart, they allow you to buy more games and download them on there. I hope it's not like locked out in that way. But for $60,
Yeah.
like for that many games, even if they don't hold up that well, it also like has a new like save state mode. So even the games that didn't have saves originally are able to do it. But this is like the first time I've really been impressed by Nintendo's business tactics in a long time.
Well, just hold the phone because this comes out November 11th.
Yeah.
You have a lot of time to wait for them to screw up.
Maybe, but I've been critical of them for years about how backwards they
A
are.
lot of people have, yeah.
Me more so. I mean, especially because I work in the video game industry,
Hmm.
and I'm pretty critical about Nintendo products. I like bad mouthing them with friends, talking about how behind the times they are, and they still are outside of the recent advancements with Pokemon Go and this and Miitomo. But it's just I think this is a brilliant idea. It kind of if it's a success, it lines them up to do something similar for Super Nintendo and then Nintendo 64. I think this could really pay off. Like if they complemented this with maybe like Game Boy games on smartphones or something like
Hmm.
that. Like there's a lot to work
How would
with.
the controls for that work, really?
I mean, it's easy. Game Boy, there was only a D-pad and two buttons.
I know well, I keep wanting to think of it like being in the same spot, and then you have a touchscreen for that, but that just doesn't
You
seem.
could do that. I mean, they probably wouldn't up-res the content. Game Boy was, it's a small
No,
square
no.
with
I
the
mean,
green
it
and black.
has that charm for sure. So
But I mean, most smartphone games you just have like a touchscreen, like analog and buttons. Like I
yeah,
personally
see,
don't
I
play
would
them.
miss that because like I don't know if it comes to Game Boy specifically, just that game. Like I would be so used to feeling the actual buttons, but
You can
no, I could see kids definitely today playing without that for
you
sure.
can buy this iPhone attachment that it basically looks like a Game Boy and it allows you to play games on it. But then you can also use Bluetooth controllers on your phone. So if you want tactile response, you do that too.
Yeah, but how much does that cost?
It depends. You can get controllers starting at like $15 and going up to like 65, depending on how good it is, like what kind of
Yeah,
features.
like see, I wouldn't go above 20.
I mean,
And then again, I don't know. I don't even know if I'd go with 15. It depends on how often I would play.
I never play games on my phone. It's not why I have a phone. Like, that's why I have video game systems and a lot of them.
Hmm.
Like, if I want to play a game at home, I got home systems. If I want to play a game on the go, I got portable systems. But I think that this is prone, this NES Classic Edition is prone to really be attractive during the holiday season. not just for people our age that are nostalgic about Nintendo, but kids that play games that never experienced these, and then also just as like a fun thing to do like with friends. Like I know it only comes with one controller, and most of the games listed aren't 2 players, but you can buy a controller separately, and like I said, the controller works on the Wii itself and the Wii U. So as long as Nintendo doesn't shoot themselves in the foot and not allow these controllers to be compatible with the NX whenever that comes out in March, like I said, I think they're turning a tide. It didn't make the show because I forgot, but there's like increased anticipation about this Pokemon live action movie. There's rumors floating around that Max Landis is writing a script. He's been like real like careful to say anything about it, but he's been making like hints. But yeah, Nintendo stock jumped something ridiculous, like $4 million this week alone in response to Pokemon Go's popularity. And then alongside that, all of the tragedies, like another dead body was found. This guy in Florida like pulled a gun on kids at 1:30 a.m. because they were playing in his front yard. Like varied things. Like if there isn't a blog about it by now, there should be. But Pokemon Go, yeah, there's like some crazy shit that's been happening that you can read about. And I hope that this isn't Nintendo fucking up again. So we'll see in a couple of months. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of time between now and then. So,
just a couple more things here, and then the show's over. We talked about BitTorrent launching like a TV service, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They're launching a news service now too. It's going to be called BitTorrent News. It's going live tomorrow on the 18th to cover the Republican National Convention. Seems like it's going to be cool. I mean, there's not going to be as much of a bias as something like CNN or C-SPAN because, Time Warner owns CNN. So whatever their shareholders or chairman want to see on TV is what makes it there. It's not exactly uncut news, whereas the way that this is being marketed is that there is no higher power. There is no man in a chair pressing the buttons.
It's just the convention itself.
Yeah, well, it's more than that. They're gonna.
But then again, I don't know if reporting's gonna be that far.
They're gonna have coverage. I know one of the guys that was behind Al Jazeera launching is gonna be working on this, and they're probably gonna attract more journalists and TV personalities as time goes by, because anyone can access BitTorrent. It's legal now in this aspect, and you also don't have to really worry about blackouts, because as long as more people are torrenting the content at the same time, the better your quality is going to look, and the faster it's going to be too. Mm-hmm. So it's really limitless possibilities with this technology, and I really hope people embrace it. I don't personally care about politics, so I'm not going to be tuning in. Also, I make the news, so I don't follow it in that way either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who it's funny because I don't think that party's necessarily tech savvy, so who knows if they're going to be seeing it. But I'm very curious to see what the numbers are going to be on this thing.
Well, I know the Democratic National Convention.
Well, but then again, it's not for just the party.
It's not for the party.
It's
for the people interested. But the DNC was in VR a couple of months ago too. So people are excited about this kind of tech. And you get more anticipation when you marry it with something else that people are interested in this case, a presidential election. So I wouldn't be surprised if whoever's inauguration come February/January is in VR. It's going to be on Facebook Live in VR for the first time. The inauguration.
Just debates. In general, why wouldn't that be in VR?
It makes sense. And it already is. Yeah. So, of course, it makes sense.
Exactly.
Final cool thing before we get to the shit category. I mentioned Apple making a TV program a while ago. Obviously, that Dr. Dre thing that no one talked about. That was a scripted show. But they're doing a reality thing as well. It's going to be following app developers. This is something that's already known. It has a name now. It's going to be called Planet of the Apps. So they get they get brownie points for the name. We'll see if it's actually good. I'm not really that interested in watching developers develop apps. But Video Game the Movie was really good, and this seems like a similar thing except with app development. Still no clue if this is going to be only available on Apple devices, if you're going to have some kind of membership or subscription-based model, or if it's just going to be free. I'm guessing because it's Apple, it's going to be, like I said, on iOS or Mac OS only. Mm-hmm. It's only going to be available if you have an iTunes Plus subscription or whatever. But we'll see. I think that this is probably going to be airing or streaming rather in like 3 months or so, probably right
maybe.
around WWDC.
I don't care. I'm not gonna give. I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but I'm not giving brownie points to that name. That name sounds pretty stupid.
I like that. It's a cool name.
I get the point behind it, because hey, this is apps are supposed to reach everybody worldwide. So yes, we are on the planet of the apps. Sure, I can get that, but fuck no. Honestly,
Planet
that's a
of
big
Apps,
turn off for
man.
me.
I hope the winning
no.
app is called Caesar.
No, I'm not doing it.
I'm excited. But yeah, here's the shit category. It's the end of the show. It's the stuff that shouldn't be in the news, but it is. Willie Morris.
I don't know why that wasn't.
It's like the tie over. It's like right next to it. Willie Morris Endeavor / IMG, the biggest talent agency on the planet of the apps, just acquired the United Federation. Whatever, I don't know what it actually stands for. Willie Morris Endeavor just bought UFC for $4 billion. They recently purchased professional bull riding and the Miss Universe pageant as well. So I don't know how to feel about this. The fact that a talent agency owns 2 different sports associations. And they clearly have clients in both of these realms.
Mm-hmm.
Like William Morris, the reason why they're one of the biggest ones is because they're not limited to just acting. They also do, musicians and sports and just about anything else. And so, like, how weird must that be for your agency to own the UFC when you're a UFC fighter? Would you trust them still?
I don't know. I mean,
it's weird.
It is. I mean, you basically are kind of owned by them. It's going back to the old studio days, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like UFC's huge and so huge that Hollywood literally just bought it.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't have a comment on that.
Is
really.
Randy
That's the
Couture
best
with
I got.
WME? Like, if he is, because he's the first UFC crossover success, like him and Chuck Liddell, and Randy Couture is the only one that really gets
true.
acting.
Do they like control what he gets to fight in? Like,
Yeah, it's like he's obviously in Guardians of the Galaxy and its sequel, among other things, including like the Expendables 3, and those are the things that are coming off the top of my mind. And so yeah, it's like, imagine his agent going, yeah, so we're gonna have to get you back in the saddle. Can you do UFC tomorrow?
okay, real quick, where was Randy Couture in Guardians of the Galaxy?
He's Drax.
No, that's Dave Bautista.
Oh, my bad. Whatever.
Yeah.
He's a fucking.
I thought you meant that,
Yeah.
but I was just like, is there someone?
No. Yeah, I meant Dave Bautista, but he's a UFC guy too. So MMA people taking over. That was my point. It's a shit category. The final thing on the show, and this almost wasn't important stuff, but I was like, it doesn't actually fucking matter. Paramount is working with Anonymous Content on a TV adaptation of Electronic Arts' Battlefield franchise. It's gonna be coming out who knows when, but the latest Battlefield game is coming October. I'm okay with this, because
That's why it's in the shit category, because you're okay with it.
to my knowledge, there's never been a live-action video game adaptation on TV. And, well, like, there was, like, the Super Mario...
Not live action.
There was a Super Mario Super Show, which was, like, a live-action cartoon mix. But this is the first one of my knowledge, so I like that EA is going this route and with Paramount. I'm not a fan of the franchise. I'm not a villain of it either, but I think it could do well. It's smarter.
It could be good. I mean, it's really just a matter of what the show is about. Like, I don't think whatever any criticisms of the
It's a
game is
war
really
show.
the gameplay.
Yeah,
really,
like
so
the Battlefield.
it just has to be a good show.
Battlefield is very much so like Call of Duty. Like, there's a story every installment, but people play it just to kill people. And so as long as they have intense, action set pieces around warfare with a plethora of vehicles, because that's what Battlefield separates itself from everything else. Is like you can fly jets and get tanks and Humvees and boats and planes and like all of that stuff. If they're able to incorporate those kind of things, which I doubt because it's a TV show, not a movie.
Well, it'll be like a war movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
on TV.
It's like another, I don't know, Band of Brothers or The Pacific.
Well, neither of those really have any action. They're more following a troop.
I don't know. There's some that come up, or I have not seen Band of Brothers in years.
I'm just saying,
So
like, but those are known, for following the platoon or the
yeah,
company and their problems and their drama and more stuff about that than like something like Saving Private Ryan, which is also about the same thing. But you have like the storming of Normandy.
you definitely have
Yeah,
like action beats in there
exactly.
that are very very
You have
intense,
enough.
and it's probably gonna be like that. Because I mean, I don't know, unless you have unless every episode is like Black Hawk Down and that's just
That'd be
relentless
cool.
in that sense, then I mean, yeah, that would make it a video game adaptation. But whatever your loyalty is to either that or to Battlefield or Call of Duty, then I seriously doubt that'll come into play in the show. Like, there's
No,
no way
no. This is just a
that
TV.
I
It's
can
going to be
imagine.
called
Yeah,
Battlefield, or Battlefield the show, or Battlefield the TV show, or whatever the fuck it's going to be.
it'll basically be a TV show of Black Hawk Down, and it'll have a lot of shaky cam and a lot of very loud, like bombastic music, and I'm sure it'll be fine
Yeah, but
for that.
that's the show. It's a little shorter than it usually is. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, not too
Yeah,
bad.
it's not too bad. Thanks for listening. Like I said, you can find us all over the internet at the top of the show. Wherever you did, if you liked what you did, it doesn't hurt to give us a thumbs up or leave a comment or a review, to share it with a friend or a family member, to repost it on the internet, tweet it out. Do whatever. We'll get back to you. We enjoy fan, or not even just fan, but just listener interaction. No, I hope it's been a good one. We'll catch you next week.
See you then. All right.